Hello everyone. We're live and it's a Tuesday. It's been a while since I've done a live. I feel like I got so used to doing lives every single day of the week that when I don't do them like that, I feel weird. It's definitely the best part of my day, getting to talk to amazing people and interact with everybody that loves and supports everything that I do. It definitely makes me feel a lot better after a long day. So I really appreciate all of you guys that jump on and join. And I hope that you guys are enjoying these lives. I can't believe that I've gotten past 50 episodes of doing this. It's crazy to think that I've been doing these for so long now. I really enjoy them, and I'm glad so many of you guys enjoy them as well. It definitely makes this a fun space, and I appreciate all the messages that you guys have been sending. And apparently, the person I'm going live with today is someone that a lot of you guys like, because I've been getting messages from all of you guys talking about how excited you are about this live. So I'm glad I found somebody that you guys had been following already. See if we can get him up here. And feel free to jump in and join us. Like, if you've got questions, do it. Hey,
Hey, how you doing?
doing pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thanks. Not too bad. Sorry for the kind of spooky, shadowy setup. I just decided I've been sat on my bum all day, so I decided to stand up, and it's kind of thrown everything a bit. Yeah, but anyway, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, my Apple Watch has been telling me to stand all day because I've been training
Yeah,
seminars like sitting down, so I should probably do the same thing.
yeah,
Awesome. So I'll let you kind of introduce yourself first so that people kind of know who you are, and then we can just
sure.
jump right into a conversation.
Great. Yeah, so my name is Mark Bittlestone. I'm a comedian, like a semi-professional comedian based in London. I do TikToks as well, like comedy ones. And I also tutor kids. That's like my day job. That's how I make my daily bread. Yeah,
That's always fun. I feel like some people don't realize that some people do still have that day job that they
yeah,
add on all the content creating on top of that, and sometimes that can take a lot of time.
for sure. Definitely. Yeah. And it's like you're sitting in two different worlds as well. So it's weird, but yeah.
Yeah, so you said that you tutor kids as well, and
Mhm.
based upon like your comedy and your content that you put out there, have you ever kind of had your worlds kind of cross in a bad way?
Yeah, I mean, I actually, it's funny you asked that. I worked at a school. I only worked there for one semester and I got fired. Um, Kind of, it was mostly my fault. I pulled a couple of sickies, and one of them was to do like a really big gig, really big show that I was looking forward to, which clashed with the parents' evening, and the school were just like, no. So, so yeah, it has clashed badly then. But you know what? Private tuition is what I do. Is like much more like on my own terms and my own schedule, so that's much more convenient. Yeah.
Yeah, I have been in a leadership seminar where so I did a video on YouTube where I kind of did like the underwear expert thing, which all gay people do apparently.
Yeah.
But one of my people in my leadership seminar actually, in the middle of the seminar, was just like, I just can't look at you the same after I've seen you in your underwear. And I was just like,
Really? Get over it,
oh no.
guy. That's so
So
funny.
what kind of got you into posting like the comedy stuff that you post?
Yeah, so I actually started comedy like 5 years ago now at university, and then uh, so again, kind of was still at university for another 2 years. So like I've been kind of trying like doing it on the sort of London scene, like the open mic scene for about 2 years, 2.5 years now. Um, and I guess I never really had like a run of time where I guess everyone in any performing art is like, oh, I should do some online stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, I really should have an online um, presence, but you never really, because it feels like a secondary thing to live performance. You never really like have a run of time to do it, or do it with enough like cadence for it to build any momentum. So actually, it was only the lockdowns, the national lockdowns, that led to me in September being like, oh, come on, Mark, like get your ass together. You're never gonna have more time doing like when you can't do live comedy to just be like. So I just yeah, I posted like a video on TikTok, which I think was like being gay in lockdown, or like how to be gay and get through lockdown. I woke up the next morning, it had like 5,000 views or something. I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I personally haven't jumped onto the TikTok app
yeah,
because the content that I create, I have trouble getting it to fit into like a 10-minute like
yeah,
window. So getting it to fit into like 60 seconds for me, I have yet to figure out how to do that
no,
effectively.
fair
I
enough.
remember when TikToks like first started, I was at a VidCon event and it was still transitioning from Musically over to TikTok. And
Yeah,
they were like reaching out for more mature content creators. And they're like, we'd love for you to do this. And like, I looked at it and I was like, I'm sorry, but I don't know how I could
yeah,
possibly create content on that platform.
yeah.
But I mean, I've seen lots of people jump onto it. And I think that I mean, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, they're all starting to mimic the short reels that kind of
Yeah,
TikTok created, which I think is very interesting.
yeah, for sure. No, it's really curious, and like I same, obviously not the same because it's easy, well, much easier to like express a comedic idea in a minute, but then obviously reels on Instagram, their maximum is 30 seconds. So there was a period where I was making like the same idea, same concept, same skit, and I was making like a reels version which is 30 seconds and a TikTok version which is a minute. Like the time, like on Final Cut, like rendering these two versions on my computer, screaming like, please, I can't. So I just now I just do 30 seconds, which is a shame in some ways because like sometimes an idea deserves a minute. Sometimes it definitely doesn't, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I've definitely so you just joined Clubhouse, which I thought was super
yeah,
exciting because that platform has just like connected me with so many different really cool people. But I actually joined, they have like a comedy like room where you literally they
nice,
give you like they I think it's 5 minutes that they give the comedians and then they're just like, okay, uh it's very different because like
so cool.
when people laugh it's like they're pushing their mics,
Yeah,
so you
yeah,
don't really get the energy of your crowd actually
yeah,
laughing at you.
for
But
sure.
I was invited into that room to listen. I can't
Nice.
I can't tell a joke that
Hey, God.
I would try. I'm the type of person where I get to know people personally and then I kind of witty. I can twist things of what they said like 30 minutes before and bring it back and make it funny.
Mhm.
But like standing in front of a crowd, I tried to do it one night in college and like got no response to like feed off of the energy. And I was just like, oh, okay.
Okay. No, I
Guess
mean,
I'm not
like,
funny.
no, I wouldn't say that at all. I think, like, the first time you try it, you're always going to be terrible. Everyone would have been terrible. Like, Seinfeld was probably terrible the first time he tried it. You just got to keep going, man.
Yeah, it's definitely a skill that you have to
Mm,
get better at. Like, I
for
mean, these
sure.
lives that I've been doing have really helped me with like speaking. I
Yeah.
mean, pretty much all my jobs require me to speak, so I've gotten pretty
Mm.
good at it here lately, which has been fun. But what would you say like inspires most of your like skits and stuff that you come up with?
Yeah, I think, like, I mean, I think like generally, I find lots of stuff about the world just really funny, and like I express myself through humor a lot, just when I'm talking to people, and that's like always been my favorite thing to do, even from like a really young age. Like I didn't know I wanted to be a comedian until maybe a few years ago, but always like I love making people laugh, even if it's just like in any kind of context. So that's definitely one. And then like another is there's so much about being gay that I think is really funny, whether it's and like there's a lot that's also like sad and tragic and tough and difficult. But there's humor in that as well, because like tension and tragedies makes for good comedy. And so like there's so many angles of being gay. Like you can parody people's stereotypes or perceptions of being gay, but then you can also parody gay people as well, because loads of stuff we do is really dumb. um, so yeah, probably like general influences and then my kind of lens as well.
Have you ever gotten, because the gay community, like we were talking about, there's a lot of like trauma. There's a lot
Yeah.
of people who are dealing with different things. Have you ever posted something and just real like gotten a very negative response in that sense?
Yeah, like never, I think always actually, like the comments overwhelmingly have been like either we find it really funny or like you're on the right side of the joke kind of thing. But definitely sometimes there's like one or two people who are like, don't think this is funny or you shouldn't be laughing at this. And fair enough, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I think like I definitely do really try and make sure like if I'm making a joke, I'm thinking about like whose expense is the joke at, and hopefully like it's making fun of people who might think that, or if it is making fun of gay guys like me, it's doing it in a quite a light-hearted way that hopefully people wouldn't take offense at.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, like I've been on, I have an opinion, I have my thoughts of things, and I've definitely been on the side where the community that I am a part of felt
Mm,
attacked by something that I've created. Um,
yeah.
like I did a video about like open relationships,
Mm,
which the gay community, there's a lot of open relationships. I
hmm.
mean, there's open relationships in every community. It's not just ours.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
my video, I was coming from the angle talking about like if you're not comfortable with being in an open relationship, be comfortable enough to say that so that your
Mm,
partner isn't torturing you.
for
And
sure.
it's okay. Just because you're gay does not mean open relationship is
Mm,
required of you. And like that was my like that was what I was saying. I just
yeah,
wanted
yeah.
people to know that if they're hurting, it's okay to say this isn't for me. I'm a more of a monogamous person. And the backlash of how many people got so upset
Really?
with me saying that, and I was like, I didn't say it's bad. I'm just
Yeah,
saying if
yeah,
you're
yeah.
hurting, like that's not good. Don't
Yeah,
torture yourself. So
definitely. Yeah.
it's definitely hard to navigate through that sometimes when you're having when you hold your platform to represent a community that
Yeah,
there's a lot
of
of pain.
course. Yeah, of course. And I think you have to accept as well at some point that like, you know, you don't represent, you do represent, but you don't speak for everyone in your community, and some people are going to disagree. But I think if your intentions are good and like the majority of people are like, yeah, we get what you're doing, we don't, you know, then I think you're like, yeah, fine. Um, I also, there's people I find super annoying, I just block. So that's another way of dealing with
Yeah.
it.
I mean, I always tell people, I'm like, if you're scrolling through your like social media platforms and something just like makes you feel like remove
Mm,
it. It's
yeah,
that simple. Like
totally. Yeah.
I personally there's people that I disagree with. And I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to surround myself with those people. If I
Yeah.
think there's like an educational moment that could be had, I will
Mm,
try to have it. Most of the time it doesn't go that route. So I'm just like, you know, I tried.
yeah.
Just don't want you to be a
Like for
part of my
sure.
life.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So as you're like climbing the ladder of being a comedian and kind of getting your
Mm,
face out there to where your audiences are growing, like what is your like ideal like career path? Like where would you like to see things kind of
yeah.
go?
Yeah, I'd love to like be a professional stand-up comedian, like earning a living from the circuit. And I'd also love to have like stuff that I've written commissioned. So like a sitcom would be amazing. Like audio, like radio stuff as well. And yeah, so that would really be the dream, to make a living from comedy and then to get a sitcom on somewhere, whether it's like BBC or Netflix, obviously, you know, whoever will have me.
Uh,
um, yeah, that would be
so
amazing.
with Clubhouse, so the really cool thing
Hmm.
is there are literally like production people in there just like digging for people. I actually
Really?
have been approached by several different people, and I've actually become good friends with a couple casting directors. I was actually
Oh.
reached out to by someone who works with Netflix, and then later
Wow.
pitched their plan to HBO, which is a bigger network, I
Yeah, yeah.
suppose, than Netflix. And I I was just kind of talking what I wanted to do. I was just putting it out there. I was just like, I really want to bring attention to the fact that LGBT people in rural parts of the world,
Mm,
like even in the United States where people think that it's so beautiful and so like
yeah,
every gay can hold hands and kiss their partner, I
sure.
wanted to show that growing up in rural parts of the world, it's still really hard. Like the
Definitely.
bubbles are like nice to have. I've escaped to those bubbles for a little while in my adult life, and it was nice to live in that area. But I
Yeah.
was just like talking about it, and someone reached out to me, and they're like, "We would love to come to your town and record you and make
Oh,
like a
great.
mini series about this." And I was like, "Whoa,
That's so
okay."
cool. Yeah.
So
Oh, that's amazing.
Clubhouse is definitely a great
Yeah, I need to
place.
check it out. Need to get on it.
Yeah. So look for like comedy stuff. I can like next time I
Yeah.
see some of my friends in there, I'll just ping you into the room so
Oh,
that you can
great.
kind of pitch yourself there. Because like I was going through your stuff, and like the thing that I loved most about it was literally like so stereotypical, but I was
Mm.
just like, that is me. That is I do that. So I think that we can all
Oh,
laugh
that's
at
great.
that. Like it's the memes
Yeah,
that are
yeah.
created, but you've created like a visual video of you actually acting them out, which I think is
Yeah.
really fun.
Oh, thanks.
So out of the stuff that you've created, like what is your
Mm.
favorite thing that you've created so far?
That's a good question. Like I'm in a comedy double act as well called Mark and Hayden, and we've actually recently been working on this like audio series, and we'd normally be doing like live stuff, but we've spent just a long time on this audio series, and they're only, like episodes are only like 10 minutes each, so you think like, oh, like that must have just like been done overnight, but it's honestly just taken us so long. But we're releasing it at the moment actually weekly, so if people want to check it out, they can go to my page. So I think that's definitely one thing. But I think another is like I'm just super proud. I think generally that like I mean lockdown is really hard. It's hard for everyone, but definitely like this time last year, when like comedy clubs closed, I was like, oh, this is a nightmare because I was finally starting to build up just a bit of momentum around like my act. So I think I'm proud that I've managed to like take it online and like grow it way beyond what I would have been able to in like the back rooms of some crusty pubs in London. So yeah,
Yeah, I think one of the so 2020 was supposed to be my year of traveling and collabing with lots of different people, and of course,
mm,
COVID kind of canceled that whole idea. So
yeah,
that's kind of where these lives came about. I was like, I still want to do this. I still my
yeah,
2020 like resolution was to pull more stories onto my platform because one thing I've learned is like my story can only represent and relate to so many people. And I was like, I want to bring more people together and create like this super broad, accepting, loving community.
yeah,
And I hit like a really hard time in August. Like stress was just coming from every direction. Anything that was could possibly go wrong was trying to go wrong in my life. And I was like, you
yeah,
know what? Let's just start putting some positivity out there. Let's just start like,
definitely.
because you ask yourself, you like, what does the world need more of?
Mm,
Like happiness, positivity, laughter, smiles. These are all things that the world lacks during like
sure.
such dark times. And I love that you decided to take your stuff online because that just gives you that opportunity. And at the beginning I was telling people, because I do life coaching as well, I
Yeah,
was like, you can't sit and wait in
yeah,
hopes that things are going to return to normal. Let's
totally.
pivot and adjust to this new whatever it is and make the most of it. And I mean, TikTok's an amazing place. I mean, you've
Yeah,
grown really well there, and I think that that's a great place. There's tons of people that jumped on there, and I mean, the thing that I didn't love about TikTok was how many people made the exact same video. It's
mm,
like one video
mm-hmm.
goes viral and then you see 300 of the same thing.
Copies.
But
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I really connected to the people that were like, here's my original content. And
Yeah.
when I found yours, I was just like, here's something original. I love this.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, I think it's all of these things are like great platforms that like funny people and comedians just wouldn't have had 20 years ago. And so it's like you're so lucky to have these, to be able to like connect with people like you and to be able to like, have people in Argentina and like South Korea enjoy your stuff. It's like it's incredible.
Yeah, I feel like now you've opened it up to where, like, when things start returning to normal,
Mm,
there's a lot more stages that are open to you because you
yeah,
existed in those different spaces online. So a lot more
totally.
people know who you are, and they're like, I would like you here in New
Yeah,
York, please. I'm going to
yeah,
need you to fly over here. We're going to get you a stage for you to perform. And I
that would
mean,
be cool.
I always say like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, they're online portfolios of what you're capable of doing,
Yeah,
and
sure.
be aware of that. Like people will find you that and give you an opportunity you didn't even know existed.
Yeah, no, it's so true.
So usually a lot of people, when it comes to the pandemic, a lot of people have different avenues of kind of navigating their way through what 2020 brought us.
Mm.
What are some things that you kind of overcame other than just kind of jumping online and creating? What are some other things that kind of were rough and you kind of overcame?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said in December of 2019, I lost my job, which was not great. Like just before the pandemic hit, so I kind of quickly threw myself into the kind of tutoring thing. I was fortunate that I kind of quickly got accepted by some sort of agencies. So, that was a difficult lag period of being like, and then you kind of I think if you are in the arts, maybe or that you do want that to be your thing, you do exist in this limbo state where you're like the other thing I do, which makes me money, like I can't do it too well. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't want to make a career out of it because then like if I start giving too much to that, I I'm not giving enough to my comedy or whatever it is, and then you're like, oh, but maybe I will need a backup. I don't know. So you do feel in this kind of weird limbo state. So that was definitely a tough one to like get that to settle down. And then exams, all exams in the UK, all public exams got cancelled, and that's like the main reason you tutor. So I was like, oh, for God's sake, man. So they're just ups and downs, but compared to God, everyone else, so many other people have not had it bad um, at all. And I've actually got two lovely housemates. I live with my cousin and my cousin Sam and a really nice old friend called Daisy. And we all get on well, thank God. Because otherwise, I think otherwise the last like year and a bit would have been horrendous. Imagine if you hated your housemates.
Yeah, I we were talking about this in one of the clubhouse rooms, like with real estate stuff, where like everyone
Yeah,
after this pandemic is going to want a bigger house because
yeah,
being stuck in their home, even with if it's with someone they love, like their home starts
mm,
to shrink the longer this
shrink,
pandemic is taking. And I was
definitely.
just like, well, I guess the real estate will really start to boom after this is done
Mm.
because everyone's going to be like, I need a bigger house,
Need
please.
a massive house. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So when it comes to like the work and stuff that you do, like I think that when it comes to creative work, you have to kind of like be in a mindset. And you were kind of talking
Mm,
about how like you don't want the job that's making you money right now exhaust you to the point where you can't do what you really want to be doing
yeah,
career wise. Like how do you kind of balance that? Because I think there's a lot of people that do like this type of work because they
yeah,
need money, but their dream is over here. But after
for
they've
sure.
done this job, they're tired and it's hard to
Yeah.
put energy over here. So how do you kind of overcome that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm very, very fortunate that I had a really good education and went to a really good uni, and so I can kind of I'm in a position where I can like be an academic tutor, which is a very fortunate one. So I can work anywhere between like 5 and 7, 8 hours a day, but doing something that isn't like, you know, it's tiring for sure, but it's not like, you know, crazy work where I come home at the end and I'm absolutely shattered. You know, I know some amazing comedians, and I don't know how they do it, who will work like, I know an amazing comedian who's like an immigration lawyer, and she works like 8 till 8, and then goes out and gigs like 4 nights a week. And I'm like, I just don't understand how you do that. Like, you're not dead all the time. She's always like, I'm so tired. I'm like, yeah, I'm not surprised. So yeah, I'm really lucky, and I always have to remind myself of that, to like be able to do something that's flexible and ad hoc, and pays pretty well, all things considered. Um, but I think, yeah, you have to try, and again, like, I would preface everything I say with the fact that I am very privileged and lucky. So I don't want people to take away from this that like you can just do whatever you want. This is my good fortune. But I think I definitely have to like draw a line, and say like, no, I'm just gonna stop working on that stuff. Like, no, I'm not gonna, you know, help this. Like, I'm not gonna commit to more jobs. I'm not gonna like, sometimes I have to like redraft some kids' essays or whatever. I'm just be like, no, I'm not going to do that tonight. I have to, because if you don't have lines and limits, then yeah, you just get sucked in, and you kind of start forgetting like what you actually do enjoy doing.
Yeah, there was actually someone speaking in a clubhouse room, and they were actually talking about how it's important to look at yourself sometimes as like a client, where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
how would I treat a client? Would I cancel on them? Would I tell them, I'm sorry, I can't do this tonight?
Mm,
And the answer is usually no, you wouldn't do
yeah.
that. So you have to sometimes be like, okay, between the hours of 3 and 5, that's my creative time. That's me time
Mm,
to move me towards my dreams and goals. And I think that sometimes we forget to put ourselves on that schedule. We kind of, because I mean, creative is not easy. I think that
mm,
people see like the short videos, but they don't realize, even with like these lives, they don't see
mm,
the work I go into of connecting with people, asking
sure.
them, pitching it, creating everything to get people to come.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, even like a 30-second TikTok video, some
Mm,
of them might take a week to like pull everything
yeah, yeah.
together, get everything you need for it. And people don't see that like hard work behind it. And they're just like, you know what? I'm going to become TikTok famous. I'm going to post videos. And then when you start, like, it's not easy. It's definitely a lot different when once you start practicing it.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. And I think also like, I think the good thing that I found certainly with TikTok, particularly because like when I started on TikTok, I was such a different platform, and I didn't have any inhibitions. Whereas like on Twitter, like, I had some followers, or I had some friends, and I like didn't want to post stuff that I was worried wasn't very good. I think the beauty of TikTok for me, because I was new to it, was I was like, "Do you know what? I don't care. Like, I'm just gonna highlight. I'm just gonna do I made a rule to myself. I was like, it has to be an hour door to door, because otherwise I could spend, as you say, like, you can spend 10 hours obsessing over how good it was. So I was like, I'm going to spend an hour door to door, like from idea through to writing it, filming it, editing it. And sometimes that doesn't happen anymore if I like get obsessed. I did this video which really didn't do very well, and actually TikTok took down because they said it was like discriminating against gay people. And I was like, "Are you joking? Like, it's really funny." Anyway, that was about, you'll probably really resonate with this. It was about Grinder in a small town,
Oh
and
boy.
this guy, yeah, yeah, fine, and this guy finds out that he's actually just messaging his dad.
That's rough. Oh,
So maybe TikTok were right to take it down. But anyway, honestly, it took me hours. I had to set up like another guy. I have already have one. I had to set up like another Grinder account, like on my housemate's phone. But yeah, but that was, yeah. Sorry, I can't remember your original question. But
that's fine.
no, yeah. Go on. Sorry.
I think that when it comes to like the creative stuff, like sometimes you run into like the creative block, or you also run into the how much time you spend into something and kind of the disappointment of something that you're really proud of and something you really love, and you're just like, this is gonna blow it out the water. This is gonna be the
Yeah.
best video ever. And then it's like the picture or the video of me petting my cat got more views than this video that I just spent like a week making. How do you kind of
Yeah.
combat that? Because I feel like a lot of people like take that as like a personal hit, and then it kind of
Yeah.
knocks away their creativity.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think it's like really, I still have no have there probably is like a faint correlation between like what I think is going to go well and what does go well. I should probably, that's a really good like question you just asked. Maybe I'll start actually tracking it. Like I think this is a 6 out of 10, and then finding out what it does get. That would be really intriguing. But generally, sometimes I can be way off. You know, like put a video, I'll be like, yeah, come on, come on, come on, this is gonna kill, this is gonna kill, this is gonna destroy, and then like mic drop. Which, yeah, which to be fair, like is true in the world of live comedy as well. Like if you're doing new material and you're like, you're really excited about a punchline, and then you do, and it's like, um, so yeah, it's super weird. I think, and I think the only thing that makes it better is just committing to the regularity. Because if you just commit to doing one a day, which is like my commitment, then, and it's the same with live comedy. Like if you commit to gigging, say 4 times a week, then who cares? I've got another gig tomorrow, or I'm doing another video tomorrow. It's out of the way. Whereas if you're like in the beginning, in my beginning of doing videos from like September through to December, I would like do them in fits and starts, and then I, as you say, I'd get pissed off that like this video that I spent hours on had just bombed. And then one of my first videos, which is called like being gay and going for an STI test, is still my best one in terms of on TikTok. It's still got 500,000 views, like more than any others. And I'm like, why can't I recapture the Holy Grail?
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to social media, we've gotten to the point where people start to like develop their self-worth around their numbers. It
Mm,
sounds like you've kind of navigated around that and found a way to really enjoy the content that you make, which is, I think, really important. I think that I'm sure people reach out to you and ask like how to start a TikTok or how to like become famous. And I've had several people just ask me, and I'm like, well, what's your intent behind it? And they're like, I
yeah,
want to be famous. And I'm like,
that's a great place to start. Yeah,
I was like, being famous for what though? Like,
yeah,
what
yeah,
do you
for
want to
sure.
do? Like, you have to have a message. Like, mine was never to be famous. Like, I wanted my videos to touch people that needed to hear my message, and
Mm,
so people weren't like feeling alone. I wanted people to be like, hey, someone else in the world at least has this view, or
yeah,
someone else in the world's fighting for me. And I think that now that it's in a pandemic and everyone's on social media, like people are really focused in on those numbers, and it can
mm,
really like tear you apart. So
yeah.
how have you kind of navigated through that world?
Yeah, I think it's tough, and I think like my honest answer is like I wouldn't say that I'm impervious to it. Definitely not. I think none of us are. Like I do get really excited about like seeing my kind of numbers going up, and I think it's a similar thing in which definitely exists in comedy, and I'm sure in other industries, which is like comparing yourself to other people, maybe how many followers they have, or the agent they've got, or the show they've just done, and I'm much better at it now, but I definitely went through a period of like it would, if I saw someone had like done a good tweet, like another comedian had done a really successful tweet, it would literally ruin my weekend. Like how crazy is that? Like it has nothing to do with me. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't impact. Um, so I think yeah, what you said is so true. It's about taking like joy in what you are doing and realizing that no one else can do that. Like even if you're doing like similar material or material in the same ballpark, like there's no one else who can create what you're creating or ever will. And so if you can just really make sure you're enjoying your material, and I think that's what I ask myself sometimes when I'm just like sometimes it's a bit of a meat factory if you're doing it every day and you like have a day job as well. So I just try and like chill out, maybe have a cup of tea, come back and enjoy it. And I actually do. I really, it's tragic in a way, but I actually, my housemates will tell you, but I often make myself scream with laughter at my own jokes. And then I'm like, oh God, this is embarrassing. Like, oh, who needs an audience? um, yeah,
Yeah, there's been times when like I'm recording my YouTube videos in my room and my sister and my nephew live with me, and some of my videos you can actually hear my nephew screaming in the background. I'll try to like bump the music in the video up a little bit so
yeah,
you don't
yeah.
think I've got a child being murdered in my home. But like there have definitely been times where like my sister's standing outside of my door and I'm like sitting here like trying to talk to a camera, which is already kind of awkward.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely not as easy. I've definitely run into like the writer's block of things. I keep like a list of things,
Mm,
but my spirits aren't always there. Like I'm
yeah.
not always in the mood to film something super uplifting, and I've created a platform where it's supposed to be uplifting. It's supposed to be
Yeah.
like this
Yeah.
positive space. And like there's some days where I just want to post a picture of like me just like with eyeliner going down my face and I'm like I'm having a rough day. Like
Yeah.
that's how I
Oh,
feel, but I'm like that's not the vibe that I'm creating here.
for sure. For sure. But I mean, yeah, I know that feeling, and like sometimes it's quite sweet. Sometimes like it's I think some of the people who like watch my videos regularly like definitely pick up when I'm like it's in a bad mood or really tired. It's like some of them I've definitely seen people post being like, Mark, did you have a bad weekend or something? Because like the video would just be like less funny. Less funny, more depressing, to be honest. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm like, sorry guys, like this is the best I've got. Like you're just gonna have to, like it or lump it, really. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it just lets people know that we're human, like we're people.
Mm,
Like I've heard toxic positivity where like people try to make the world think that their life is just rainbow and butterflies 24/7, which
yeah.
is never the case. Uh, I love how some of your videos like really take like trauma and take things that are rough, that like STIs are definitely something that like
Mm,
if you got one, like you don't sit there and make a comedy video about it, like you don't get
mm,
excited about it, but like your videos around that, like it brings humor to something that it would be hard to laugh at. And I think that
mm,
that's like a skill that not a lot of people can do. Like that's really talented to be able to spin something in a way that can make people laugh. And I mean, you also address a lot of things that are like stereotypes. Like,
mm.
uh, I loved when you were just kind of talking about like, I mean, it's comedy. Like, it's why is your platform so like wrapped around gay comedy? I mean,
Yeah,
why does it have to be gay comedy? I mean, it's comedy and it's
yeah,
about gay people, but it's still comedy.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah, and that was an example of me just really biting at a comment. I like, just like, is this one like, well, probably more than one, but maybe like two or three across like the whole comment scape. It just pissed me off. They were like, oh, this gay stuff always on my feed, or like, why is your comedy all about being gay? So I was like, oh, like, fuck you, man. Sorry, I shouldn't swear. Excuse my French. But yeah, I was like, comedy about being gay is like comedy. Do you know what I mean? It's like, most normal comedy is essentially about being straight, right? You just That's not a category because that's what life is presented as. We're kind of made to be other, and so that's an artificial lens that we have to put on it to make ourselves be noticed and stand out. But it should just be normal comedy, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I really bit on that hook and dived straight in. But I think people enjoyed my sass, so
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. And I love when like content creators attach to something that might be like one of those things that really kill a mood and they create this
mm,
whole new positive mood out of it. Like there's so many YouTubers that I watched where they've made songs from the hate comments underneath their videos and
great.
like I absolutely love them because like there's one where she's just sitting there and she's like, I mean, she really can't sing. I don't know. And that she just blew it up into this whole beautiful song. And I actually was like, I commented and I'm like, oh my God, like you need to put this on iTunes so I can listen
Yeah,
to it on my way to work because it just made me
that's
laugh so
incredible.
hard.
Yeah, that's
And
so great.
it's important to be able to do that. I think that you do have to develop thicker skin when
For
you're
sure, yeah.
online because hate comments can destroy you and make you stop doing what you want to do, or you can make a joke
Yeah.
out of it and turn it back to the narrative that you want it to have originally.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also, when you're doing it, you then do realize your privilege as well. I mean, like if, we were women or if we were people of color, then the comments would be ratcheted up to a degree that, would be significantly more intolerable. So you're kind of like, well, if, they can deal with it and continue putting out their material, then, we can cope with a few comments about, gay comedy and keep going.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to the things that other people face, like I love that you can kind of relate it back to other people that might be struggling more off because I mean, that's one of the things in Clubhouse that we talk about in a lot of the rooms. Some of the conversations can get really serious.
Mm,
And the interesting thing is when you go international, like your platform has, like now you have reached audiences that live in a very different world than you.
mm,
And I brought up in a room, I was like, yeah, it's great to like mention that someone in Turkey lives a very different LGBT life than someone in the United
mm.
States. But the guy next door to me who lives right next door also has a different
Yeah.
world in reality. And like it's important for people to realize that there are people that have it worse or better off than us. And I've always, when it comes to people with their pain, I always say never try to invalidate someone. Like if someone
Sure.
says I'm hurt, say I'm sorry. And I think that that's important. And I've my content, I try never to step on toes, which is hard to do.
Mm,
It's
mm,
it's not easy to do in today's world because people don't understand your context. Like our friends know that we're good
yeah.
people and that the things that we're doing is for fun or to entertain or to help. But people coming from different perspectives or backgrounds don't always see where our comedy or stories come from.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's like that's bound to happen. But I think like, if you just have a look at your videos, like the comments are overwhelmingly positive. So I think, when you look at that, you can be like, yeah, okay, this is the vast majority of people kind of do accept what I'm trying to do and like do get on board with it and do take away a good message. So yeah, I think you just have to play a numbers game with it. Like I think if I was getting sort of 90% hate mail, I'd probably call it quits.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think to your point, I think your point is so right, about not invalidating people's feelings and experiences because, suffering isn't really relative and like, what someone has gone through in like uh, you can't really compare it, of course, to someone who's been through something much worse, but that's not really relevant to how they feel. So yeah, I think you kind of have to, if you can, sort of take each situation on its own merits.
Yeah. And secret about my platform, I delete negative comments. So I don't,
Hey, there we
the
go.
I don't allow hatred on my platform because I
Perfect.
personally like I don't even like it when someone I love fights back to stand up for me because I feel like
Yeah.
that's building a hate community because I want nothing but love on my platform. So,
Yeah, I
and it
agree.
gets harder as you grow. So
Yeah.
when I wake up and like there was 44 more views on my platform, uh,
Mm,
I can check that one comment to make sure it's
mm,
good. But now it's to the point where I can't see
yeah.
everything. So maybe a picture that I posted a month ago, I didn't see those comments. So I actually have people on my platforms that they're like, hey, you should, like, they'll screenshot it and send me in a private message. And they're like, hey, this
Nice.
picture has quite a bit of hate on it. Like,
Oh.
I was very political during this past year
Yeah,
for
yeah,
many reasons here in the United States. And I was never a promoter of hate. So I wasn't going to talk about hating another candidate, but I was going to
sure,
talk about how much I loved my candidate.
sure.
And that stirred some people's
Yeah,
emotions. And it was like, I would say, every 15 minutes, I felt like I needed to check because it was like that bad.
no, it's
But
so sad.
I've learned that if you really, with intentions, go in to create a good space and you've got all the intentions of doing that,
Yeah,
eventually it will take care of itself. And I feel like I've gotten to the point with my platform where it's gotten to a size where I have a large enough following of good people that
yeah,
bad just isn't tolerated here. And I kind of like that I've built that kind of space.
for sure. I mean, I think that's definitely the right way to do it. I mean, I have a friend who's a brilliant comedian, a guy called Ken Cheng, who's British Chinese, and he said something so interesting on Twitter. He said it a few times recently, and he said that, my life got exponentially better when I decided to stop engaging with and start ignoring Twitter trolls. Do you know what I mean? Because yeah, you can have it's good, like civilized debate is good, but this isn't civilized debate. Do you know what I mean? This is just
Yeah.
people
I
looking
mean, if you
to,
spend all your energy on the haters, you don't have that energy to put into your content for the
yeah,
people that love your stuff. And I think that that's
exactly.
the important thing to remember is where are you putting your energy? Like on the
Totally.
1% of people that don't like you or the 99% of people that love what you're doing and are applauding the hard work that you're putting into your content.
Yeah, precisely.
But yeah, I've learned that when it comes to like the haters, because I've
Yeah.
gotten a lot of them. I've just learned that good, happy people, people who have self love, people who want
Mm.
to see the world a better place, they don't do that.
Yeah,
So when I see hateful comments, uh, I believe it's coming from a place of pain or hurt where
definitely.
they're probably dealing with their own problems because
Yeah.
I know that I strive to make the world a better place every day, and I would never ever post on someone's thing, even if I disagree with it. Like I would
Mm.
never post something on their stuff. Like I might try to educate them
Sure.
privately, but I'm not going to post something negative
Yeah,
online.
exactly. And as you say, you kind of then, yeah, I think sympathy is the right emotion because, as you say, like if you knew someone like that in person, then you're certainly not friends with anyone like that. The people like that, you would just that something has gone wrong for them, or as you say, they're in a place of pain, or they've got their own issues clearly, and so it's a shame that yeah that they're not getting help or whatever. Yeah, sad.
Yeah. I think that social media is a beautiful thing because we can really connect with people who are
Mm,
just living different journeys than our own, and we can use that to like really enhance our like viewpoint of the world because you living over there and me living here in the United States is we are living two different lives in two
yeah.
different parts of the world. And it's interesting to be able to connect with people. And I'm the type of person that I want to learn about someone else's perspective. I don't need them to see mine. If they ask, we can talk about it. But if
Hmm.
they don't, like, I want to learn about theirs because I
Mm,
think that that is a beautiful space. And I think that a lot of people have gotten to the point where they think that everyone needs to hear their story. And
mm,
I've asked in lots of different rooms on Clubhouse where I'm just like, have you asked about their perspective at all? Or have you
mm,
just been shoving your agenda down their throat? Yes, you deserve equality. Yes, you deserve, but do you understand why they don't think you deserve it? Because the solution
yeah,
is shifting their perspective because we already know that you want equality and to be treated
yeah, yeah.
equally. Why don't they think that that is right? And it's just like you got to take the time to understand people. And I mean, the amazing thing about creating a platform like this is so many people want to share. Like
Yeah.
people's stories in my private messages have really opened my eyes to things that I would have never researched on my own
Mm,
because it was never on my like stage for me to address.
for
But
sure.
when people send it to me, I'm like, Oh, wow. And then I do my research.
That's so cool. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's so it's I think that is one of the lovely things about social media, as you say, is that like you get all these messages and you know, loads of them have like incredible things or stories or things that you weren't aware of, and people as you like overwhelmingly, I mean, I think, you know, we spoke about trolls and that kind of thing, but my experience is like overwhelmingly good with people who like message or comment just really sweet things or really interesting things, or as you say, like perspectives about stereotypes and about experiences, some of which are really sad, some of which are really like tragic, some of which are really interesting. And yeah, without social media, you never have heard those things. You know, if I just did a comedy gig, like I'm not gonna talk to, you know, every person in the audience afterwards and find out like what their story is. Whereas through social media, you know, if someone feels they want to connect, they can do, and that's such a cool um, element. I mean, obviously, also some people send some quite curious stuff.
Most definitely.
Yeah, but you know, that's part of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for me personally, when it comes to like my comic relief, so I just did a photo shoot this past weekend before last, and it was kind of like rotating the photographers, and there was different locations with models, and I just wanted everyone to laugh. I wanted everyone to have a good time, but for the first couple of like, I would say the first hour, because it was like a 9 hour day, but the first hour I was gauging everyone's like personality, who they were, their background, their story. And then after an hour, I started like spinning everything to make it really funny because I
Mm.
was the only groom and I'm gay. And I was getting married to three different women. One of them was gay, but they were all different ethnicities as well. So like when people came in, I was just like, "Hey, welcome to my crib. This is my wife that I like to keep at the bar uh, because she's really
Great.
good at pouring drinks. Because that's where every photographer wanted us to stand." And then there was like a table where we were pretending to have dinner and doing the cheers thing. And I was like, and this is my favorite wife to sit at the table. I love her because she has really great etiquette. And then this like other girl, she had this like big floofy dress, and they wanted her to like lay on the floor and like take it from like above. And I was like, and this is the Life Alert commercial because she's fallen and she can't get up. And I was like, we were just like making so many jokes. And
Oh, it's
all the
great.
photographers, like, they got to like say how the experience was, and all of them were like, that group of people were just great. And because
Oh,
I opened a space for people to be funny, like everyone
sure.
started being funny. And we just had such a good time. Like the laughs and smiles in our photos, like they were real.
Oh,
The tears that
yeah,
we
yeah,
had, it wasn't because we were getting married and we were crying. It was because we laughed so hard that the
yeah,
tears were there.
yeah. I mean, I think that's sorry to jump in and interrupt, but I think like one of the joys about like comparing or emceeing, like when you do comedy, is as actually like allowing this, because everyone, you know, can be so funny. Like everyone has a funny bone, and like you, so and one of the great things about that is like allowing people to jump in with a suggestion, like asking someone why they're there, and then they panic and they're like, oh, like like I'm not on a date. So yeah, I love that kind of thing. I think you're so right. Like unlocking people's natural senses of humor is such a joy in any context.
Yeah, so when I was in high school, I actually did like improv, which I
Hmm.
love. Like
Mm.
I just naturally am pretty good at just yes anding people.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
yeah.
we like asked the crowd like give us a word, and they're like a pyro. And this girl that I was on stage with thought pyro meant like a pirate. So I'm sitting there like lighting stuff on fire,
Yeah.
and she starts talking to me in like a pirate accent.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my god, this girl thinks that they were talking about a pirate. So I was like, okay, I've got to
Incredible.
shift and like make this funny.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
just turned this into I knew what pyro was. So like I was lighting the sails on our ship on fire, and she had no clue why I was doing it, but the audience did. So like
Oh,
everyone's
that's
laughing,
brilliant.
and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know why people thought it was so funny. You didn't like you weren't even acting like a
You
pirate."
weren't
And I'm
even
like,
doing a pirate. That's
so
incredible.
I feel like just feeding off of other people's energy is what I'm good at. So I would say stand up is probably not my specialty, but
Okay.
like uh, I loved just kind of going with it, and that's like my favorite thing. My dream for my YouTube, like I don't know if you know who Lily Singh is.
No,
So you need to look her up. So she
I
does this
will.
whole, she's very similar to you where she plays multiple characters. So she'll
Sure.
play her mom, her dad,
I'll write
herself,
her down. Yeah.
and she just kind of like creates this beautiful comedy skit. And I would love to create more acting stuff more than just like the speaking videos that I currently do. And I think that that kind of stuff, like I love when you play different characters and
Mm.
just kind of change your shirt and then you make
Yeah.
it very obvious that you're playing two different characters.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, like very lazy. I changed my shirt.
well, there are days where I will record 6 YouTube videos because
Mm.
I know that my energy is high enough to do it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
all I do is like change my shirt and like push my hair a little bit to the
yeah.
side so it doesn't look like I did them all in one
Same
day.
day,
But
definitely.
I mean, you have to do that sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, sometimes I mean I used to like have like wigs and like this fake moustaches, but now I'm just too lazy, man. Just change my t-shirt.
Hey, it still does the job. It puts
Just
across
do
the
it.
message that it's two different
Yeah,
people.
just.
Well, I know that it's going to start counting down. So I hate that Instagram has now made it to where 60 minutes is the exact limit and it cuts people off. So I just want to take the time to say thank you for doing this. Like, I think it's
Oh,
great when other people will collab and kind of share their story because like I said, my story can only touch so many people, and the amount of messages I was getting from people that have been following me about how much they love your content, I was like, okay,
oh,
people are going
great.
to want to watch this. So it's awesome that you were able to do this. Uh, I appreciate it, and I really love your
No, thank
content.
you. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. It's been such a great chat. I can't believe it's been an hour. Like it feels, yeah, so fast.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing you like thrive in the clubhouse world. There's TikTok rooms that you will thrive in. There's
Get
comedy
in
rooms
there.
that you're going to thrive in. There's LGBT rooms for you. So I'll ping you into anything that I can
Ping
get you
me,
into.
ping me,
But
ping me.
hopefully you'll enjoy that platform and be able to make the most of it because I mean the connections like I'll say like the last 4 people that I've done lives with were people that I met through Clubhouse and
Oh
connected.
wow,
Yeah. As you can see at the top of the screen
so
it's
cool.
counting us down. but
Oh yeah.
but I appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing. I look forward to seeing all the content that you put out, and hopefully you'll get to do some stand-up stuff here. Maybe I'll make it over to Europe after this pandemic to watch one of your shows.
That'd
I'll
be great.
definitely check out your podcast and leave the link for that type of stuff on my platform.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, yeah, thank you so much again for having me. It's been so lovely to chat. And yeah, I'll catch you soon.
Awesome. Have a good night. I know it's later over there for you.
Yeah, you too. I'll see you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.